Hello, and welcome once again to our career exploration project. We have with us today a nurse practitioner from Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, New York. We have Ann Maguire. Ann, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you, Brian?
Good. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
All right, so just I guess kind of jumping right in. You are obviously in. Are you in Mount Sinai? Are you in Mount Sinai right now?
Yes, I'm in an exam room where I see patients all day. So I've been still coming to work all through COVID. So still at work doing my.
So, talk about your role as a nurse practitioner. What do you do? And kind of what you had before that to kind of build up to this.
Okay. So I've been a nurse practitioner since I finished my program in 2018. Then I started working in the beginning of 2019. So 2 years. And my actual title is Adult Gerontology Primary Care Nurse Practitioner. I work in HIV primary care. So I do a lot. I do HIV treatment and prevention. So I do HIV treatment for older individuals who survived the AIDS epidemic and then newly diagnosed younger people. And then the older people with HIV have a lot of comorbidities and other medical problems. So I do a lot of managing of diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, uh, thyroid disease, all sorts of things. And then I do HIV prevention, which is, we call it PrEP, prevention of HIV, a lot of LGBT health. And I just started doing a little women's health as well. So it does it, anything and everything, I guess, is what I do. Before this, I became a registered nurse in 2011, and I worked as a registered nurse for a while. Most of that, I spent about 6 years in adult oncology, which was really rewarding. I loved it. And then I also spent a year in Uganda, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. And then my jobs before that, my first real job was at Red Lobster, so I've come a long way.
Do you still get like biscuits from there?
No, I ate the biscuits all the time and got busted by my boss a lot for that when I worked at Red Lobster. So
Do they have like a big
tray,
basket of them?
a big tray in the back, and I'd be back there eating them.
You should just take them off the tray. Like if someone doesn't eat one or two, just be like, just throw
Or
it in a bag and save it for later. Whatever, it's in there. What? No
yeah,
one's touching. No one's taking it.
now it doesn't come with that perk of biscuits, so it'd be nice.
They should think about that. They'd get more people there. So, with your job right now, I am assuming, even obviously with the pandemic, it's ratcheted things up. But even beforehand, it would probably be a pretty taxing job, like working with HIV and AIDS patients. How do you kind of stay? How do you unwind mentally?
I found exercise is probably the best way. And then a challenge that's been for me throughout my nursing career and continues now is really just being able to separate that to where you really turn off on the weekend or your days off, your time off. So just to be able to get home or even a day on the weekend where you don't log into work, try to go for a walk, read, exercise, see a friend, whatever you need to do to just take that time where you aren't thinking about work, which is really hard to do, but you need that mental break.
Yeah. So, what kind of education, I guess, did it take to get to your roles?
hmm So for my register nurse, I went right into a bachelor's of science in nursing, traditional 4-year program. And then when I was ready to start my nurse practitioner program, there's there's a wide range of nursing education now, but what I did is I did a master's of science in nursing, and that took about 2.5 years. Now I did that part-time when I was working full-time as a nurse, which was really challenging, but now there's a lot of change, wide variety. If you get your bachelor's in education, you can go and do a registered nurse program. You can do a doctorate in nursing and, have a doctorate and be a nurse practitioner. So there's such a wide variety. So I kind of went that traditional 4-year bachelor's of science in nursing to begin with. And then the master's in nursing for my NP, but there's such a wide range people can do.
Where did you get those? Well, hold on. Let me guess. Your bachelor's, St. Mary's of the Woods?
Yeah, St. Mary. No, wrong.
Oh,
Right.
just
St. Mary's College in South Bend, Indiana.
oh man, I was kind of close.
But then my master's was through Duke University.
That's right. Now that you said that, I couldn't remember the Masters, but the other one, and then I remember Duke.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the Duke one though, that wasn't necessarily on campus, was it?
Right. So it was a mix of remote. Then I'd have to travel there fairly frequently to do training, suturing, exam, lectures. So it was a mix. So that's why I was able to work full time through it.
Okay. So what led you to this? Like what led you to becoming a nurse practitioner, and even specifically with the HIV and the AIDS? I'm assuming your trip had something to do with that.
Yes, you are correct. So for nursing, my senior year in high school, I shadowed a nurse. There was some kind of program where I shadowed a nurse. I still remember it. And I loved my biology class. And so I decided from then to become a nurse, and I never looked back. Now I'm lucky in that I knew right away and was happy with that. Most people don't know what they're going to do, right after high school. So no one needs to worry about that because there's so many paths you can take to become a nurse. So then after my time in Uganda, I was volunteering in a very rural clinic, and I spent a lot of time in their HIV center treating people with HIV. And so then from there, I really wanted to do global health, and I loved HIV. And so it took me a little while to get there and navigate how I was going to use that here. But I found my nurse practitioner program that had a specialty in HIV. So and I really love it. It really encompasses a lot of different areas like mental health, substance use, kind of health disparities, at-risk populations. So that's why I love it.
Okay. So I can see some, but you probably don't see them as this. What are some pros? What are some things you like and love about the job? And what are some things like you don't like about the job?
So, it's going to vary with any area in healthcare that you're at. Something that's both a pro and con is the patients. So I'd say most of the patients I love, and that's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why most people in healthcare are here, is the patients. And there's some really lovely people. And what I love about primary care is I get to know them over a long period of time. You get to be with them and the same with oncology. When I did that, you get to really know the people and their family. But it can also be a con. They're definitely difficult people, challenging people. That can be a con to it. And then the stress, both physically, mentally, is definitely challenging. And yeah, so that can be really taxing for people in healthcare, especially I worked 12-hour shifts for a long time. And that is one of the hardest jobs I think you can do. No offense to the teachers. Of course, those are very hard. One of the hardest jobs in healthcare.
I'm not a teacher.
Education. So, and then I haven't necessarily thought this as a con, but some people do, is that sometimes pay can be challenging. You aren't going to necessarily walk into making a CEO salary, but there are ways where you can really build up to that. So I think the taxing part of it is a big thing, and it's easy to get burned out. And then pros. You want pros?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's so much to learn, and it's like endless possibilities. So you can do anything as a nurse. You can go into research, you can go into public health, you can be on committees, you can work with kids, adults, older people. You can work in psychiatric or medical. There's so many things you can do. So if you go into an area and you don't like it, you can easily find a different path. And so that's what I love about it. And you learn, it never is a dull day. You always learn something new and really interesting, fascinating things. And then the patients, I love. It's so easy for me. I've always had purpose in my job, which I think is really hard to find for people, to feel like you have purpose in what you're doing every day. So it's just built into the job, which I think is a huge benefit. So
now, let's say someone saw Grey's Anatomy or I don't know, one of the other shows like that, and they're like, "Oh, I want to be a nurse or a nurse practitioner." What would you say to them? Like, because with like CSI and shows like that, people who are crime scene investigators are like, "Yeah, that's nothing like that." Do you watch those shows and kind of, if someone were like, "Oh, I want to be it because of that," what would you say to them?
Of course I do. So in Grey's Anatomy, all the work that those people do, Meredith and all those people, of course I watch it. The nurses do, and it's a lot more. There's a lot less downtime than what they show. So if you're looking at working in a hospital, most of the time, unless there's a rare day built in, you're nonstop. Go for 14 hours, probably 12 to 14 hours. And yeah, so that's what I'd say. A lot more patients, a lot more grueling and nonstop than what they show.
But good thing is that if they watch that show and they're like, "I want to be a doctor because I want to do what they do on the show," they only have to be nurses and they don't have to go and get the doctorate, and they can save up some money.
Well, if you want to be a surgeon, you have to go to medical school.
But I thought you said some of the stuff the nurses do.
Oh, as far as like helping the patients and being there, yeah. So if they're interacting with patients, talking to patients, what they have on the show is that they really get to connect with their patients. And I would say the nurses probably get to do that way than any surgeon or physician. So that is, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and there's no love triangles in hospitals.
Not that I ever experienced and in that setting, so I really missed that one.
You don't have writers for that, so okay. Okay, so as far as like being in your profession, nurse practitioner, nurse in the hospital setting in general, what kind of personality would be good for it, and what kind of person or personality, besides someone who doesn't like the sight of blood, would be bad for, would not necessarily be bad, but wouldn't like that job?
So I don't like a lot of kind of structured things. If you kind of want to be a freelance, something and have your own hours, it might not necessarily be the best thing for you. Definitely school, having to go through the training is want to really have that vigorous training or program, because not only with classes, you have to do clinicals for both in nurse practitioner and a registered nurse. So if you aren't really wanting to do that, it may not be the path for you. And if you don't like dealing with people, definitely.
Okay.
That note, you can work in research or something and still do it, but it's not as common.
Yeah, just have a hood up over your head or something like that. A mask.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of normal now. So.
Yeah.
And then what would you say to someone who, just to prepare them for this career, like any kind of classes? Like, for instance, we have just any kind of classes maybe in high school that they could take or anything. What kind of classes did you take in high school?
So I took anatomy and biology. Those were kind of the main, and chemistry. So, I mean, chemistry for sure is important. You have to take chemistry in a bachelor's of science program, and, to prepare for, your nurse practitioner. But I would say definitely some sciences as far as biology and anatomy.
So we have we have biology, we have chemistry, dual credit chemistry, we have AP Chem, we have Chem.
Yeah.
AP Bio, and classes like that would be very helpful.
Yeah, I took AP Bio for sure in high school. And the couple other things I would say, volunteer in your community. I think learning to interact with others is really, and work as a team and interact with people you wouldn't necessarily meet in your day-to-day life is really important. So it can really help you navigate. If you like working with the homeless, if you like, you could volunteer at a hospital maybe and visit patients. You could volunteer with people with special needs. There's a wide variety of things that you can do to volunteer in your community, and that can really help you build that base for you. And then explore your interests. We need well-rounded healthcare providers. So if you like art, photography, music, anything, don't let those go for the cause of, going into, any area of medicine or healthcare. So.
All right. Now, the last question.
Mm-hmm.
Take off your nurse practitioner hat, take off the medical worker hat, just put on your how old are you? 30. Hold on. All right, so you're
about to be 32.
Whatever. 32. Your 32-year-old self. Put on your 32-year-old self hat and give our high school kids some general advice.
Just stick to who you are, and which is really hard to do in high school, and you always want to change to fit in, but just be yourself and don't give up on your dreams. I stuck with my dreams. I want to become a nurse, and just let the journey guide you. I ended up going to Uganda, and now I'm in New York City. So don't give up on your dreams and be yourself. And there's always a light on the other side. And what else? Just have compassion for other people. That's a big thing that just got me to where I am today. Just care for others and be kind, and that's it.
All right. Well, Ann Maguire, nurse practitioner at Mount Sinai. That's right, right?
Yeah.
Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. Is that right too? New York. Okay. New York City. Thank you so much for your time. We seriously appreciate it, and also thank you for all you do. It's inspirational, like that what you do, and I'm sure your family is very proud of you. So thank you very much, Ann.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everyone.